Alright. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Alright, still with me? Okay. I want to give my take. This is a company as a disclaimer. I want to just say, like, basically, maybe it's one of those things where personally I'm just a little bit out of the income bracket for where their target audience is or whatever, but not really, kind of, because, I don't know. I'll have to explain it, but Apple is, pioneers. I have a water all over myself. Steve Jobs, and Steve Wozniak, they really did basically start the computer thing off, and so you kind of got a company that does something like that, has a lot of, they still got to do their shit, but you're going to get points for being, on that much of a mission and having, like, that much of a clear... The thing about Apple is you really have to respect their, the way they kind of do things, because they have, like, a way that they like to do it, and they sort of have their mission, and their whole mission of the company is what it is, and it's a little bit different than what a lot of people are. It's really, I do have to kind of give a nod to this company, because I gotta respect the fact that you do your shit, and you do produce the thing about Apple is, like, first off, their products, like, look really good. Like, when you see Apple products, you just, like, look at them and you're like, wow, that's nice. You can't, as much, even if you were the worst Apple hater in the world, even they'll admit, oh, their design is very good. You got Johnny Ive just, basically tearing shit up. He's, like, on his shit as far as having his own signature, like, design style, and company that gets that elaborate into their, like, design language and stuff like that. You have to, that's why Apple is probably not going to be going anywhere anytime soon, because they're always going to have, like, the ability to keep that, at least a certain amount of people within their sphere, that, they can keep going, and they have good profit margins on their products, so they can afford to sell less units and make more money, which is, that's someone who's, like, as cheap as me. I really, like, I want the design language to be good, but I also expect it to be, like, I don't know, like, a good value for my money. It just kind of seems like when you add up all the raw materials, and I know that I haven't personally ever used the Apple ecosystem, so I can't say on the phones, but it's definitely not, like, it's still up for debate. There's plenty of people out there who claim that Apple stuff is janky, or they don't like it, they don't like the way it is, or it's harder to use than other stuff, that's a big red flag. Like, when it comes from Apple, when I hear, like, an Apple user say something was difficult for them or not able to be done on that device, then it's kind of like, well, what happened to that whole intuitiveness thing that you guys, like, you better might want to, but yeah, so Apple's all right. It's okay. But basically, like, when I was shopping for a phone, like, a year, whatever, 2013, I spent a lot of time. I actually almost got some guy that I was looking at, on some different, it was sort of a different genre. He's got a blog that I, like, was following, and he just was going off about the BlackBerry, like, how great it was and all this shit, to the point where I was almost, like, caught up in his hype, and almost did pull the trigger on that BlackBerry, that first one, the Z10, which was just total garbage. I mean, I probably wouldn't have bought it, because I did further research on it, and, it just didn't have the hardware for shit. You're getting, like, a 720p screen. Friggin' battery was not outstanding, and you're kind of cheating on the screen when everybody else is doing 1080 and you're trying to do, 720, and you're gonna try to put, like, the same size, like, a small battery in there still, and you're gonna sit there and try to claim, like, oh, we get this long a battery. It's just, it's all relative, when you have like, yeah, so it's going to take more power to drive a 4K screen, and they keep referring back to the fact, like, the BlackBerry cult, or whatever you want to call them, just goes back to that classic line about, like, you know, oh, your eye can only see this many dots per inch or whatever. Well, put a fucking 720p screen next to a 4K screen and tell me why the 4K one just looks a lot better, dude. If supposedly your eye isn't able to catch that, then why does it just look substantially better to the eye? I mean, even go look on YouTube videos of comparisons and hear people talk about it. You know what I'm saying? It's not real, dude. That whole, I don't know what, I maybe can't explain it, and science can't really explain it fully, but it just, dude, you can perceive more than 180 DPIs or whatever the fuck that number is. You know, it's like a stupid ass low number, and now they're getting up into the 400s, and you're okay, dude. So when I was looking for a phone, you know, Apple wasn't really even on my list, because the tiny ass little screen was like one of the biggest things. Like, dude, the screen is just like 4.5 inches tall. My hands are huge, you know. I can still use a Note 3 one-handed, so I'm not really concerned about, oh, can I use it with one hand? Well, it's actually worth it to me and most people to just use two hands if you have to, for the advantage of that bigger screen. Because, seriously, what is that whole, you know, like, just, that was okay when all you were doing is text and shit like that, but now you're, like, supposed to be scrolling, you're, like, browsing the internet and shit, handling your shit, logging on stuff, and it's just all teeny like that. Like, they format it to try to make it fit on there and all this stuff, and I guess it's longer, so I can't really, that was just like my basically train of thought. And then I was looking for something that had a big battery. The three things I wanted was, number one, camera. I wanted like the best camera for a phone. And then battery, I wanted like a nice beefy battery in there and a big screen. Like, those are the three things. So that's basically why Apple didn't really make the cut for me. And yeah, but it's still a good company, you know. It does what it does, and they do have really good service supposedly, and all this shit. But I just personally was just more into like the Samsung products, just mainly because, and the thing with the pen with the Note was what set it over the top, because that's really cool to just be able to write. And also your brain is stimulated more by writing handwriting than it is by typing. So, you know, that's one of those things that, you know, it's just a little trivial little feature, but, you know, it really did it added to my, you know, maybe I'm crazy or something, but that was one of the things I looked at, was the pen and the screen size and the battery life. And, you know, the camera was pretty much like comparable with the iPhone camera. So, you know, that's what I was looking at there. But, you know, if you got money, Apple products, maybe one day I'll try them out and stuff. I do have respect for the company, but I can't really necessarily give them that full nod, just because, I don't know, we'll see, like, what the new iPhone 6 is going to be like or whatever, and we'll see if they come through with, but if it ends up just having, like, the 21 milliamp battery that, like, the rumors say, or even 18 or something, 18 on the small and 21 on the big, 21 is not shit. My phone has 32, so no matter what kind of magic you're going to work with the software to make it run, or, oh, maybe you got a weaker processor that doesn't take up the power. Wow, that's really something to brag about, dude. You know, hey, buy our phone. We got, you know, cheaper, weaker components in there, so our small battery will, you know, compensate for the fact, and you'll end up getting the same amount of life out of it or whatever. You know, that's not really that smart of a selling point to me. You know, that's not really something you want to get on a commercial and friggin' start proclaiming to the world. You know, it just doesn't sound good. Like, that's your shit. So, I don't know. I'm going to give like a 3/4 nod, and I'm going to say, keep working on your shit. We'll see what you come out with here in the medium to short term. And, you know, like, really, it's like next week we should see the results for the iPhone 6. So, we'll look at it. You know, definitely a company to keep an eye on, and if they start turning their shit around, it's going to be a good bet for the future, I think, as far as like making money and being a successful company. I can see that in the future for Apple, but you're at a crossroads. You lost Steve Jobs, you know, you got Tim Cook, which is he's good. He was on the board at Nike too, so that might have a little something to do, which I don't really like though, on how Nike and Apple are just like this, because okay, Nike, I'm not gonna jump onto Apple just because of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be nice to be able to interface with my products that I own of yours, but I'm not gonna just, that's not something that would be great if I was an Apple guy. That would be wonderful, you know, that would be so cool, but I'm sorry I'm not, and you're just kind of missing out with me on that, because I'm not going to go out of my way to try to participate in all that. If you would make it easier for me to, then I would, but I don't know. So partial nod, keep working on it. Good potential.